popular programming language. You can't call it as programming language, a popular front-end development platform. Okay, so that is what we are learning here today. Okay, I haven't learned HTML. Okay, so you need to go and revisit all the things from what should I do. So I'll share a tutorial, just go through that, and we'll work on that. Akshara, don't worry. Why didn't you tell me this on the day one? I would have helped you out earlier itself. Fine. So I really liked, I appreciate Akshita, because she's telling that this is what something I don't have or I don't know, right? So now I'm going to help her. Now there are a lot many other people who don't know a couple of concepts, but still they're just listening and they're not asking. Guys, it is not the workshop where, or it is not the bootcamp where you are not allowed to ask me anything. Just put it there, I'll help you out. Okay, so it is not your normal college professor session, or it is not the kind of training that you had earlier. Okay, so here you have full authority to ask me anything over here, so that you will get a answer of that thing. Okay, so if you hold back, you will not learn. Okay, so don't hold yourself back. If you have anything that you don't know, do let me know, I'll help you out. Okay, so other, if not me, we have a team over here in the back end. I'll ask anybody to help you out. Okay, fine. So let's get started. Let's learn the next concept. So do we have anybody who tried the yesterday stuff? Is there anybody who tried the props? Tried playing the props? Are you able to render the data? Yes. Do we have anybody? Yeah. Let me just share my screen. Yeah, we have Pradyumna, we have Kamal. Good. We have Brunalini as well. Good. Anybody else? Anybody else who tried? So see, again, so you're here to learn, but only learning is not enough. Again, you have to go and implement the things. Okay, until unless you're not going to implement it, it will not work. You will not able to retain the kind of knowledge that you're going. Getting knowledge is good, but in order to become good in that, in order to become expert, you need to implement the stuff. Until unless you're not implementing, you're not learning. Mark my word, you will not understand anything if you go and rewatch everything again after a week or so. Okay, so do one thing. So we have Pradyumna, Kamal, no, Kamal was already there, and DP Singh as well. Good, good. Go ahead and implement. So more you will try by yourself, the more you will learn, or the things will be more clearer if you implement along with me. If you're going to do something like I'll just learn now and I'll implement later on, it is not going to work, or it will not help you a lot. Okay, so these 9 days, I want you to finish everything along with me. Don't stay behind. Okay, so don't procrastinate first of all. So I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it the day after. Next day never comes. Okay, so do it right now, just after the session. Okay, so that's why we keep it like this, so that you can, after the session, you can go and practice after lunch or before lunch, whatever is your time. Fine, so let's get started. And let's learn the next few things. Let me just quickly cover what we started and what all things that we covered yesterday. So we started with building blocks of React yesterday, and there are, so that is where we ended actually. We covered components, we covered elements, and we covered props. Anybody is having any question into these first 3 things? Yes, anybody is having any questions? Yeah, and I have the chat box. Yes, type in there if you have any sort of questions, or type in no if you don't have any question. We have Kamal saying no. What happened, guys? Why you're not that active? Be there on your toes. I want every one of you to have your hands on the keyboard. Whenever I'm going to ask you, you will be there showing up. Okay, every time. You have Suraj, Samruddhi. Who else is with me? So then only I'm going to get started. So otherwise, we are going to stop here itself. Yep. So do we have few more people? We have 20 participants and only a couple of you are showing up. That's not good. That's not good for you actually. So it is not gonna do any effect on my side, but I'm really worried about you. That's why I'm asking. Yeah, we have Rushikesh, Omkar, and Akshada over here. Fine. So we covered 3 things. Now we are gonna jump towards the states and functions. So function we are gonna cover first, and then we'll move towards states, because that is things. So let me just share what we're going to cover today. Today's agenda I'm going to share with you. Yeah, so but before functions itself, so before functions, we're going to cover ECMA script. So how many of you know that what is this ECMA script, except the people who attended my previous bootcamp? Okay, so those who are new, the question is for you. how many of you know what is this ECMA script? Yeah, your time starts now. Tell me, what is that? What is that ECMA script? Don't tell me the full form. What exactly it is? Even though if you know, that is okay. So just tell me the full form. I'm not expecting from the people who attended my first boot camp. Okay. So from others, yes. So anybody knows what? Type in no if you don't know, or type in NI no idea into the. DK will also work. Don't know in the chat box so that I'll get to know that you don't know. Yeah, don't know. Okay, perfect. So Suraj doesn't know this. Nina doesn't know this. So Murthy, who else? Okay, we have Pallavi. Akshay already raised her hand. Okay, okay, fine, fine. So JavaScript standard mean to ensure the interoperability of web pages. Yeah, it is not for interoperability of web pages. It is JavaScript standard, that is good. But there are a couple of frameworks or libraries that people are building using JavaScript, and so in order to standardize everything, that if you are building a new library using JavaScript, you need to follow these standards. That is what ECMA is doing. Okay, so it is an organization. We'll talk about that. Okay, then we are going to cover functions. So well tried, good Jayesh. So it means you're staying updated with the industry. Okay, it shows that. Good, appreciate it. Fine. So we are going to learn functions. We are going to learn states, and then there is one very important thing called as events. And at the end, we are going to have a small hands-on where I'll show you, and you have to practice that, and you have to show put the screenshots on the group. Is that okay? So shall we get started? Yep. Shall we get started? So yeah, so we have Pradyumna, Runalini. Yes, Suraj is saying yes. Rushikesh, we have DP Singh. Who else? Who else? Come on, guys, show me that you're excited so that I can quickly start and we can finish it quickly. And without any delay, we are going to start. It's 7:10. Yeah, so we have a lot many people out there. Pratik, Samruddhi, Jayesh. Fine. So let's go and let's try to understand what is ECMA script first. Okay. So ECMA script is there is a standard organization called as ECMA International. Okay, that is an organization which is maintaining all the standards related to this. Okay. So ECMA script is a scripting language specification standardized by ECMA International in 2013. So that their first version that they officially launched for public is ES3. So right now, what is the latest version of ES is ES6. Okay, so that is what people are using. Okay, so they have standardized a couple of things, and they created a scripting language, and that is called as ES. Okay, so ES6 that is out in 2016. So it is a modern scripting which is supported by most of the browsers. Okay, so but it so see, JavaScript has a couple of things which are not that optimized, or the developers who are doing the web application development, they are facing a lot of challenges which they are trying to solve. The ECMA is trying to solve with this new version of the script. Okay, so it is not only that they are doing the things, like see how they are doing it, by they brings new promising features. Okay, so using the existing JavaScript, they have done something amazing, and because of that, they have implemented a new features. They have added new features into existing JavaScript. So, but then now, since new things are added, it doesn't remain normal JavaScript. Now it is, so your browser should, or your application should support ES6, and ES6 is supported only in the latest JavaScript libraries. If you go with the previous JavaScript libraries, it will not support again. Okay. So ES6 brings many promising features like arrow function. So that is one thing which we are going to see today. And templating string, like string in the template in the form of string. That is what we did yesterday. We passed the string, pass a template in the form of string, or we'll again go and check what it is. And then it has added, actually the const and let are the two keywords which are added by ES. Okay, JavaScript was not having this const and let. Yesterday we used that const, right, for creating that variable const element or something, welcome kind of thing we created. So that is the feature of ES6. It's not normal JavaScript. Normal JavaScript only contains var, and you just go and find it out what is different between let and var. Okay, so I'm not going to go into detail because we are not here to learn JavaScript and ES6. We are here to learn React. Okay, so I want you to do some homework. Okay, so and it supports export and import of model, which is not at all there in normal plain vanilla JavaScript. Okay, so that what is export and import we will see in an example that we are going to do at the end of the session today. Okay, so this is what you need to know. So JavaScript is a programming language, right? It is a programming language. There are many JavaScript, many JS scripting libraries out there in the market, and ES like ECMA is standardizing using the rules and syntax for them. It standardizes all the rules. That like if you are building something using JavaScript or on top of JavaScript, you need to follow this restriction or the standardization you need to follow. So that is what ECMA is doing. Okay. So with this, they are having their latest version ES6. That is what they're we are using, or we are going to use all the features of ES6. We already started yesterday. Okay. So that is about ECMA script. Anybody having any questions into this? Yep. Any questions? Yes. No? Perfect. Perfect. So let's go and check. The next thing that we are going to learn is function. Okay, functions are pretty simple. Like what we know about function is same over here in the function, but there is one more thing over here in React. Okay, not in JavaScript. Okay, in React. So there is a concept called as pure and impure functions. Okay, so just try to understand from the code. Okay, so what is happening? So there are two props. So now, so yesterday itself we talked about like whatever argument that we are going to pass, so parameter that we are going to pass to the function will called as props. Okay, so whenever we are going to pass, let me just quickly go to the IDE so that we will have the clear understanding of this thing. Okay, so here if you observe, like here we haven't done anything with the props. I'll show you the example of props and then we will move forward. Okay, so this is what the component, it is a function component. We'll also talk about class component. Okay, this is function component. Okay, so this is a component we have added in our like what is that JSX element. So here after paragraph tag, this welcome, whatever welcome will return, it will render on the screen. Okay, and now what welcome component is returning? It is returning H1 tag, which is where it have written my name is like Akshay. I'm just typing it. I'm just doing the change just to check. Okay, now you can see over here. So that is what the component. Actually, this red color looks pretty weird. Let me just quickly make it blue or something like that. In that sense, okay, it is not at all looking good. Yeah, I don't want this. Let's just go and make it green, or let's just go and make it blue. Or yeah, it's okay. I haven't saved the code, so that is important. Yeah, so this looks good for me at least. For others, fine. Okay, so I don't know, our brand color is different one, that is royal blue. So this is something which I found. I don't know the hex code because a designer takes care of that. Fine. So that is royal blue, the brand color that we are using at Tech Amplifiers. Fine. So now let's go and implement the props. Okay. So here we have this new thing, right? If I go and try to inspect the element, I'll not see. How many of you are aware about this? How we can check or all the parameters that are there over here, so that if everybody knows about it, I'll not cover what is console, source, and network. I guess if you know it in the beginning, at the basic level. If anybody doesn't know, please put it in chat box so that we go and cover it. Yes. Anybody wants me to cover that? What all things are there in the console or when you do inspect element? Everybody knows it. I think no if you don't know, so that please cover it. Fine, perfect. Fine. So let me just quickly tell you. Okay. So we'll talk one by one. Okay. So right now I'm going to cover only element because that is what the need. Okay. So now if I want to check in my HTML page, how many elements are there? See, this is the tag, this is the element. HTML is all about elements. This is one element, this is second element. And React is all about components. Okay, so just try to correlate the concept. In React, everything is component. In HTML, everything is element. Okay, so in component, there are small parts called as elements. So that is another thing which is there in the React. Okay, so now this is one element. So if you hover on that, you will able to see that this is the paragraph, right? And this is second element. Okay, here, and it is what we are able to see the DOM. This is the DOM. Okay, so right now whatever I'm seeing over here is DOM. This is HTML page. Okay, so this is H1 tag. But if you go and observe after H1, what I gave is, where is my, yeah, so here after paragraph tag I gave a tag called as welcome, which is the component. Okay, Now this component is returning h1. It means once this component is loading, this welcome is getting replaced by this. Okay, so that is what is happening. Whatever we are going to render, it will take the place of that particular tag. I'm just doing Control Z right now. Okay, so that is what we are doing. Okay, so now we are going to change the data, or we are going to work on that with the help of props. Now I want to send a dynamic data. I don't want this name of Akshay over here. Okay, so if you remember, if you log in into the Amazon .in, okay, Amazon website. So on the right hand side top corner, there will be your name. Okay, so if you log in another person's ID or the credentials, so you will see his name on, or his or her name on the screen, right? So that is happening because they are doing the data, they are sending the data dynamically. Okay, so they have stored the data in the database, they are getting it and they are showing it over here. Okay, so right now we can't do it from the database, but I'll quickly show you how they're changing the data dynamically and from on the UI. Okay, so that is, I don't know what Amazon is using that actually. So actually, I just got to know. I gave you a task. How many of you completed that? Yesterday I gave you a task. What was the task? Yes, anybody remembers what was the task? A small task which I have given you. I gave you to search something about React. What was that? Anybody remembers? Anybody tried working on it? Yes. Anybody got the answer? I asked company names. Yep, company names or the bigger brands having the application. Like somebody told, who is that guy? I forgot the name. But Twitter is using the React, right? So somebody told in the chat yesterday. So I want 5 names at least. Yeah. See now. See, that is what the problem is. See, if you are going to put more efforts, then only I'm going to add a lot of value into your knowledge. Okay. So if you're not, if you're just here to कि free में मिल रहा है चलो करते हैं, so it is not going to work. So it is not good for you actually. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't hamper my growth, but it is going to hamper your growth. Okay, so I'm really worried about you actually. That's if you are going to behave the same way that you're doing right now for next 8 days. Okay, so be there. If just one thing, just Google search that who is using React. It is good for you because you will get to know that. See, every Twitter, Uber, Instagram, Amazon, they are using React. Uber, Pinterest, next week. See, if they are using React, the chances are there. If you learn React, you will get job in Facebook. You will get job in Amazon and Facebook same. Sorry, in Instagram and Facebook same. You'll get job in Amazon, right? So so that's why you need to know. At least you should do the industry study that this is what they're using. This is what is trending, and if I learn, I'll get that. I'll get at least I'll be able to give interview over there, or if there are opening for that particular role, I'll go out. Okay, so that's the whole agenda behind that. Nothing's important from that. Fine. So that is it. So let's go back and let's try to do it dynamically. Okay. Now here, what I want is I wanted to use props. How to use props? I already shown an example. So props will be sent as a parameter to the component. Okay, so here I'm going to pass the parameter over here, name is equal to into bracket Akshay. So it will be key and value pair or something like this. Yes. And here, so if I want to access it, I need to use keyword called as props. So that is what it will be already there. Even though if I don't pass anything here, so we can use props over here. Okay, now instead of Akshay, what I'll do is here I wanted to use JavaScript code. Okay, so for that I'll add brackets, and inside that I'll do the coding. Okay, props dot name. Okay, so now if I go and check, so I'm going to get the name as Akshay again because the name over here was Akshay. Now let me take the name of the post over there last in the chat box, that is Kalyani. So let's just go and check. If I change the name of the variable over here, see, I'm not changing the HTML. See, this is the HTML element. Okay, so that is what I'm not changing. I'm just changing the parameter which I was passing. Okay, and that is coming from here. If I change it, so like Kalyani, and I'm just saving it, and here I go. Yeah, it has got replaced with the name Kalyani, right? So whenever the new value of this particular variable name, it is not a variable actually, it is a parameter that we are passing. So if the value of this thing, name is going to change, so then that particular value will be sent to this welcome component. Okay, it is a component. Okay, that is rendering, and that is how we can make the UI dynamic. Okay, we are going to do a couple more interesting things today. Okay, so that's about what that's about props and making the UI diagram. Now let's understand with the updates of props. Right now, what happened is we got the, so this is the component basically. This is not a function. So if you want to create a function, so function you can create with the same kind of URL, but there in function you will not return anything like HTML element. Okay, you will not return anything. That's called a function. Okay. So now there is concept in function called as pure and impure. So this sort of question people will ask you definitely in the interview if you're going to appear for in Java, not Java, reactjs developer. Okay, so if you are applying for such jobs, this sort of question will come up because this pure functions is only there in reactjs, neither in JavaScript nor in any other library that we know. Okay, so in this particular code, what is happening is I'm getting two props. Just try to understand two values I'm getting. Okay, so now this account and amount, what I'm doing is from account I'm reducing amount and the remaining amount I'm passing and storing in account. What does it means? Whatever I'm getting as a parameter, I'm changing the value. Okay, so if you are changing the value of or you are updating the value of the variable which is coming from the parent or from where the method got called. So in that case, it is treated as the props which is coming is updated, and that's why the method is impure. It is not recommended in React to change the value of the props. Okay, props will be always there. It will help you to send the data from one component to another. Okay, so that is what the purpose of that props. So that is what we did over here, right? So this is app is a component and welcome is a component. From app component, we have written something and we passed some value. And from app component, we passed the value of Kalyani or value of name as a Kalyani. We passed in the second component, and in second component, we use that value. Okay, so that is if you change, if you try to reassign these things like props.name is equal to something like I'll not use your name, I'll use my name, like kind of thing. So it will not work. Okay, or so in this it is not a good practice to do this. So still it will show you kind of error because you can't do it. Okay, so if you're this sort of methodology, if you're trying to use function, so this is not a function, this is component. In component, anyways, it will not work. But if you're trying to use the same methodology, like whatever parameter we receive, if you try to change it, it is not recommended practice in React. Okay, so that you don't need to careful about. Okay, so and now that's why the function of that type where you are changing the value of the parameter we are receiving is called as impure. And the pure functions are only so you are just taking the value and you are using it. You are not changing it. That's the pure functions. Okay. Now, so pure functions are highly recommended. That's what I was talking about. So pure functions are highly recommended in React.js because we don't need to do frequent DOM updates. See, the original DOM, we are not going to do any changes in original DOM frequently. We will have our, in React, we will have our, which DOM? What type of DOM we are having in React? So, or what sort of DOM React will create? Virtual DOM, absolutely right. So to answer Pradyumna's question, if you need to have the data from the database, you need to learn the full stack kind of stuff. So where you need to connect you need to create REST APIs, and from that APIs, the data will come in the front end. See, React is a front end framework, so you need to have something in the back end and back end framework, and then combining both. From back end framework, you can get and access the data from database. Okay. So that's the different part of altogether. We are just learning front end framework. Okay. So for that, we are going to use JSON kind of structure to create the database, or not the database actually, where we'll store our data that we are going to use. Okay, going forward. Okay. So that's about not pure and impure function. Everybody clear with these two types of functions? Any questions into it? I guess no. Fine. So let's go and learn the React states. Now, yesterday somebody was asking me, what is the difference between props and states? That is what we are going to see here. Okay. So this is something, states and props. Most of people will ask you in the interview. It is not confusing. It is two separate fundas actually. So nobody will get confused with this. These are two different things altogether. But both the things, props and states, are used to handle the data in React. Okay, there are two ways data gets handled in React. One is using props, another one is using React, sorry, state. What do I mean by handling the data? It means passing the data to and fro. It means updating the data, changing the data, deleting the data, just playing with the data. Okay, so with props, we are not going to update the data actually, but we are going to get and use the data. Using state, we are going to update the data. That is what I'm going to show you in a few minutes. Let's understand what state is actually. React states, no states, it's state. Or if there are multiple, it is called a state. Fine. So state determines how component renders and behaves. Means how component will render means how it will appear. Okay, that will be determined by state. Okay, state allow you to create dynamic and interactive component. Okay, so right now here is a very small example. Yeah, so by the name, changing the name of the component was a very small example, but going forward we are going to do something amazing. Okay, so that is called as dynamic thing. Okay, so that is what is that will be achieved using state. It is not so that that level of dynamic implementation will not be possible with props. Like what I'm talking about is if I'm having an input box, if I start typing whatever I'm typing, I should be able to see on the right hand side. And if I like, we will create a small application if time permits today, and if not, we will do it sometimes later. Okay, or I'll actually show you a kind of small thing. Okay, so that is what is called the dynamic thing which I was talking about. Okay, and state is defined as key value pair always. So it is key value pair in the each component. Like props was also key value. Like key we passed as a name and value we passed as a value, right? So in the same way, state will be always in the form of key and value, but that will be not that will be something there will be some difference between props and states, okay, which we will see while implementing. And state will be initialized with the help of this dot state. Okay, this dot state will help us to initialize, and it will get updated on the event call. So we will cover what React events as well. Then you will understand how the state will get updated. Okay, so when component state changes, okay, if the change of the component, sorry, state of the component change, like let's take an example of this welcome component. Okay, so the welcome component is having value as whatever we are getting, but if the value is changing dynamically, like somebody is typing the name and that is appearing over here, it means the value is changing dynamically. Okay, in that case, what we need to do is we need to reload the or re-render this particular component, not the whole HTML. Only that particular component will reload. Okay, so it means so there are two things actually. Right now there is one component, and so right now it is just a small app. So and this is second component. If anything is changing from this particular component, then only this component will re-render, not everything, not this one and not other things. Like yesterday I gave you the example of list of batsmen who are playing. Only the batsman who is currently playing on the strike, that batsman's score will get updated, not others. Okay, so that is what I mean. Fine, so let's go and understand the next thing. Yeah, and yeah, so it will re-render, it will render the function, and but it will re-render the change using the using this dot set state. Okay, so that is another method actually. This set state is a method. So if you have a state with you, like this variable is having this particular initial value, if you want to update it, you need to use set state method. Okay, so we will use this method while implementing the things. Okay, so now let's go and understand events. Okay, so that is what I was talking about here. So the value of the state will get changed or will update on the event calls. Now, what do I mean by event? So let's try to understand the events. Okay, events means if I click on mouse is an event. If I type on the keyboard is an event. If I hover, hovering is not an event actually. Yeah, it can be an event. On hover is a function as well. Yeah, so whatever action a user is going to perform, touch is an event. Okay, so everything is an event. Okay, if you type, if you key up is an event, key down, I'm clicking on the key is an event, I'm leaving that key is also an event. Okay, so there are so many events are there in the in all the front-end framework in JavaScript. So and that those events we are going to catch. Actually, the events are the concept from jQuery, but that is what is accepted in every front-end framework. Okay, so event is there in React as well. So on click is the event. So just try to understand when React was not there. React is not something which was there from the beginning. Okay, it just evolved in last 2-3 years. Okay, so in React we do the events in very different way. Let's try to understand how we used to do earlier. Okay, how we used to call the events earlier. Okay, so if there is a button and on click, if we click on a button, we need to do some action like submit form. Try to understand login form. Is there anybody who created login form ever? Yes. Yeah, render function I'll explain. Don't worry. Yeah. So now you must be knowing, right? So if you click on the button, we need to take the input from first box, first input box, second input box, and that value we need to pass it to the function, so that that function will go and check if the credentials are correct, and then it will load on second page. Okay. So that is, yeah. So we have Pradyumna, Jayesh, Suraj, those are created login forms, right? So in that case, so on click is the method. When you click on the button, that function, active laser, whatever the function is, just a dummy example which I took. Okay, so that that will get called, and whatever the code we have written inside that function will execute. Okay, but in React things are almost similar, but the way of writing has changed. Okay, so in HTML we used to write the function inside double quotes, and after that we used to give a bracket. So actually we will be giving the brackets if we are going to pass the parameters. If we are not going to pass the parameters in React, we will not give the brackets. Okay, so that was the case. Brackets was mandatory in the HTML, so which is not there here. Okay, now activate laser is a function. It's JS function, right? So if you are doing anything, any JavaScript code, or trying to access a variable or trying to call a function, what I told you already, you will use curly braces. Okay, so that is what we did here. We were trying to access a variable, but variable is a JavaScript concept. It's not an HTML concept. In HTML, there is nothing called as variable. In HTML, there are only tags, there are only elements. Okay, so this is JavaScript concept, JavaScript terminology, or the thing. So that's why we added inside the bracket so that it will be accessible over there. Okay, so same thing, the events, same thing. Events are, sorry, same thing is on click of the button, the function is going to get called. That function is JavaScript function, or here, so that is JavaScript function will be always JavaScript here as well. Okay, or ES6 function we will create with the arrow, which is also called as fat arrow function. So go and read about that. We will take that example. Okay, so this is how we are going to call the function. Okay, so there are multiple events. We are only going to focus on click event today, for today at least. Okay, so no, we are going to focus on input event actually, not on click. Fine. So this is all about event. That is how we are going to see. So we will implement this as well. Okay, event, not on click, but yeah, this is what the implementation I was talking about. So we will implement quickly this thing. That this is the example actually. So we will see how the user interacts with DOM by providing the text box. Like there is a text box, there will be a text box on the screen, and we are going to put enter the input, and according to whatever we are going to type, see, as I told you, I'm typing on the keyboard, it means it is an event. So as soon as the event is happening, how the things are changing. Okay, how the things are changing, that is what we are going to see. Okay, let's go and get started. Okay, so this is what we created here. Now, so there is one more thing which I want to tell you. Yesterday I asked you to implement this thing, right? So but in this is the only one component. Okay, so here I'm passing one name, but you can call that component any number of times you want. If you want to create a component like 5-6 times, and if you want to pass different value every time, like the way we used to call the function using different parameters. Okay, so here if I type, let me just check who is there in chat box now. We have Suraj, and then we have Jayesh. Okay, yeah, here we go. So now there will be 3 h1 tags where 3 different names will be there. Okay, now look at this. Okay, so but the component is same. See, the component is welcome component, and this welcome component has rendered 3 times, but the value that we are going to get is different. See, in this case, we are not rewriting the code. We are reusing the same component using different values. Okay, so this is very much possible with. So this saves number of blocks of code actually, if you know how the optimization works in the code. Okay, so it is very important thing. That's why the components are making React more powerful. Okay, so let me just remove this thing. This is what this is what I don't want it right now. Okay, so let's be there. So now here, this is what I told you is a function component. Now we are going to create a class component. Okay, so before that, so I actually created, so I'm not going to do it right now again. So I created a separate folder called as components, and in that folder I created a JavaScript file called as layout.js. You can name it anything. Make sure you are following the syntax, that first letter of that thing capital. Okay, like app.js is capital, like index, no, index was small, but layout.js I'm keeping it capital. Okay, so in that I'm going to create a class component. Now I'll tell you what is the class component. Okay, so class component, so React is having that the feasibility of all object oriented concepts. Okay, not all, so but here we are having class, and we can use that inheritance, extension, that sort of stuff. So all the object related concept we can use, and let me just show you what is there in the layout. Okay, so now let me explain you line by line. Okay, so now let me just quickly remove this because this is not something I wanted right now. Yeah, so look at this. See, if you create a new component, like if you don't have anything, if you want to tell our code that this component is a React component, so you need to import in that new file, you need to import React at least. Okay, if you are calling it as component, then you need to have the component as well along with it. Okay, or you can go and do that react.component, that will also work. Okay, so in order to tell the whole node server that is running, which is running our code, that this file is a React file, we need to import this, then only we will be able to use it. Even though we haven't used React anywhere in down there, we might have used. Let me just check. Yeah, so now we are creating class component. Okay, so now class, let's look at this. Okay, yeah, so class, this is the property of class. Yeah, so this is the class, the name of the class, and it extends component. Okay, so component is the inbuilt class, another class that React is having. So that class we have extended. So we are using which property of objects, object oriented, which oops concept over here. We are trying to inherit something, right? Change the name after 1 second. Yes, Pradyumna, we can do based on some call. Okay, we can do that. So I'll show you inheritance. Yes, Pradyumna, right? So we will do this. Just remind me later on. Okay. So we are going to. So just you need to use the delay, that function. I just type the function and I'll help you out with that. Fine. So this component we are using now. This is normal class, and you know in class we have a constructor. So this constructor is a function which will get executed as soon as we will create the object of that class. Okay, here we don't need to create the object. If this layout is getting called by anybody, so this in that time object will get created and the constructor will get executed. Okay, so now why there are two more parameters, that is export and default, is like if you have a class, okay, and if you want to use that component, this is class component, if you want to use this component in other component, in that case you need to export this component using that export, and that then only this component will be available. If you remove this export, and so actually there is only export is required, so you can just export directly. But if there are multiple components in this particular file, like this is a component, this is a component, then if you add default, only this component will get exported. Okay, so that is why the default is there. Okay, so this will export this component, and this component we will use somewhere. Okay, so the same way we have used this component we access this component welcome, in the same way we are going to access that component as well. Okay, same way, nothing changed. Here we are going to add that layout and we will be able to access that. Okay, but before accessing that, let me just show you what exactly we are doing. Okay, before accessing that, right, we are calling constructor is calling trying to so if you remove these props again, it will not have an issue. So like every function will contain some props. Okay, if you want to change it, you can. If you don't, so props will come automatically. Okay, so whatever functions you want to write, you can write the function, extra function, if you want to create any. That is what we are going to do later on. Okay, so this is going to call the parent. This is going to give the call to the parent. Super is going to call the component, and then there is a variable. Okay, so like as I mentioned in the slides, like if you want to create a state will be created using initialize using this dot state. Okay, so that is what we are doing over here, this dot state. Actually I would have done this implementation over here as well, but then it will not get called on the load of this component, then it is of no use. Okay, so that's why I added inside the constructor. So as soon as layout will get called, this dot state will get the value whatever we are passing. Okay, now here in the text, what I'll do is I'll pass the name as Akshay. Okay, initial value, or let me do it take amplifiers. Okay, the initial value is take amplifiers. Okay, so let's take test itself. Okay, so initial value is take amplifiers. Now this is a key and this is value. Like I said, what state will be in the form of key and value pair. So this is the key and this is the value. So now this whole JSON, this is JSON object actually, so will get sent on the place where it will get called. Okay, so now what we are doing over here is we are rendering. So somebody was asking about to repeat the render function. Okay, so what the render function does, it calls internally, it gives a call to the life cycle method that we learned yesterday. The event that is called as will mount. Okay, it will mount this block of code, whatever we have written, whatever we are trying to return. It means this block of code, we will render this code on the place where we are calling this layout. If I call layout here after this, so all the block of code what we are writing over here will get replaced, will get copied over there automatically. Okay, so that is what the render is doing. In the name itself, it defines that it is telling you it is going to render the data. What do I mean by data? Only the elements of this particular function, that is what it is written. Okay, so here it is a state example, like this is h1 tag, and here what we are doing is we are printing a next thing, that is h1 is this state example, h2 is this dot text. Okay, and now here I have taken an input box, and on that input box, let me just remove this event for now. Okay, and let me just load this particular layout over there. No, control Y, control Y. You are right. I missed something. I want to remove this. Saving it. I'm taking layout, and the same way we did over there, the way we use welcome component, same way we are going to use layout component as well. Okay, and after that we'll end it using the layout. Okay, so let's just take a look at this. So now see, this is coming from the beginning first, the welcome component. And the state example, this is h2 tag, and this is h3 tag, that is the name which is coming, and here is an input box where nothing is happening. See, I'm typing something, it is not happening. Okay, because we are not firing any command, we are not doing anything. It is just a plain input box, nothing is going to change. But if we want to modify the data, if you want to see the dynamic text, whatever I'm typing over here, if I want to see the same thing over there on the left hand side or some anywhere where you want, or if you want to change the name of this particular value. Okay, so that is loading from one component to another. It will be a difficult thing for now at least, or you will not understand basically. Fine. So if you want to see whatever typing over here or somewhere outside there, so in that case, or this take amplifier's name is going to change in a minute whenever we are going to do the, or we are going to use the state function. Okay, so right now, so this take amplifier we are able to see because we have used the state, we have initialized the state basically. Okay, so what we learned in state is a key and value pair. So that is the value we are able to see over here because we use that key in the example, right? State dot text. Okay, so state is maintained. So in that state we are having a value, we are having a key as text, and that text is containing the value called as take amplifier. That is what is loading on h2 tag. There is one more thing called as input, wherein we are not doing anything on input. So let's do something on change of things, on change of anything from that input tag. What we'll do is we will call this function the way we have seen in the example. Where was that example? Yeah, here. So on click, the active laser function will get called. Same way we are trying to implement here. So why they use this over here? Can anyone tell me why we have used this over here? What is the significance of this? Anybody? Anybody who learned Python from me? Reference variable, no. Current instance, yes. Absolutely right. It's not a reference variable, current instance, yes. It indicates that the current instance of the class. Okay, so if class is going to create again, so if object of class or somebody else is going to call that class, that will have a separate instance. Okay, so that will create a separate instance. Okay, So now this is only used because we are using class component. If we would have used function component, then in that case you don't need to use this. You can use directly update the way we did over here. Okay, you can directly write the name of the function. Okay, but this on click is an event over here, and here the event is on change of the data. Okay, on change of the data, what we are going to do is, okay, it will go. What we'll do is we'll call this function called as update, and now I'll explain what is this arrow function. Okay, so let me just quickly change the name to tech amplifier so that you will be able to correlate. Yeah. Yeah, so now update is a function. Okay, so how we used to write the function earlier? So let me just tell you. In JavaScript, okay, function, the name of the function, what was the name? Update, and into the bracket we are passing parameters, and here we used to do something like this. Okay, so this was the JavaScript way, and there is one more way which we followed over here. Yeah, this is the same thing. Okay, so function, name of the function, if you want a parameter, and then this thing. Okay, so this is how we used to write the function. Okay, but we can't write functions directly in the class. Actually we can write, but we can't. I don't know why it is shown here. Update word unexpected token constructor method. Fine, let it be. So I might have done any mistake. Fine. So this is how we used to write the function, but this is a new way of declaring the function. Okay, why? Because so here actually basically if I try to create a function with another name, let me just really show you. Function space. Let me give a different name. Add, and into the bracket I want to have event, and that event, if that event triggers, I'm going to do something like that. Okay, e dot target or something. Fine. So unexpected token constructor method access of property was unexpected. Fine. So let it be. So this is not working right now. So this sort of thing, but the function used to declare like this. Okay. It's the same representation. If I quickly check and if I show you, the name has been added over here. Equal to sign has been given, and the parameter was done like this. And this indicates that this update is going to update is a function. It's an arrow function. It is called as arrow function. Some people also call it as fat arrow function. Okay, what it does is it does same thing, but it executes really quick. Okay, so that's the only advantage of this particular thing. Okay, so what we are doing is we are using the set state method. What this set state is doing, it is setting the state of text to the whatever value we are passing. So this E is an event that is occurring on change of the input. If input change, there will be an event occur. That event will have a target that is the input box, and whatever value we are passing, we are setting it to the text, and this text, where we are representing this text over here. Okay, so in after state example, or let's change the name. Oh my god, I misspelled badly. Change. Yeah. Okay, so now let's go and check what is going to happen. Okay, so now let's change the game is my heading. Let me just remove this thing so that it will get clear, or we will understand it quickly. Yeah, for now I'll just return empty. I don't want to return anything. If I don't return, it will not work. Okay, so let's change the name, and then the first name is TKM device, and this is the input box. If I start typing over here, see, I haven't typed, I just clicked. Okay, so I just clicked, and if I start to change it, on change is the event. Currently the value of input box was empty. I haven't done. If I do A, see, the value is changed. On change event has occurred, and that event has triggered the function called as update. What was the function? I guess it was update. Yeah, this change has triggered the function called as update. What update does is update called in update we have written this, that like set the state of what, set the state as and change the text as the value of the target. That target is getting the value as whatever. So this is how it is going to work. Okay, so on change of content, the value of that will get changed. Yes. So is that something new for you? Is that something amazing that we are able to change something or the data of things on the go? Okay, so see, the empty, there is nothing. Now if I start typing, like, let me just check who is there last in the chat box. Yeah, we have Suraj over here. If I type Suraj, like, see, the way we are doing it is changing the things. Okay, so that is what called as dynamic rendering of the data. Okay, this is dynamic. See, whatever I'm typing, it's a dynamic data. If you are typing, it is going to come. If you're not going to type, it is not going to come. So that is called as dynamic. Okay, so I can do and play with this stuff. I just want to see you guys doing this. Okay, I can do a lot many different stuff. I want you to do it. Who is going to do it tomorrow? Yes, yes. So can we have, let me know honestly that you guys are going to practice this thing and it is just for your benefit. Okay, who is going to practice this thing? So I know for the fact that it is really something new that you learned today, and I want you to practice. So just have, can I have the commitment? Yes. So Omkar, Jayesh, Pradyumna, Runalini, Praveen, Samruddhi, Akshara, you also saying yes. Perfect. So Akshara, just remind me to send you some content to read on HTML. Okay. And Rishikesh, we have DP Singh. So Rishikesh, good to see you, Rishikesh. I'm taking this name for the first time, so I'm feeling good. You haven't replied. You haven't replied to any of the comments. Fine. So perfect. So you guys have understood this thing, that what is this state exactly? Yes. Any questions into state? Shall we move forward? Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. So is this kind of session is getting interactive, or are you feeling good that you are learning something new? Yes. Are you feeling good that you decided to learn React in this particular session? Yes. Are you feeling good? Yep. So so it's not enough. You just have to go and implement the things. So that is what I'm expecting actually, because otherwise it will be waste of my efforts if you're not gonna different types of keys we can pass to the state. We can pass anything. We can pass anything. Let me just quickly show you. Good question actually. So let's go and do the change. Okay. So now if you can't see keys, you can have anything. Like if I put like, let's put it Pradyumna. Okay, I'll put PD only. Okay, I don't need to. I don't want to make it thing. Just make sure that you are going to change the key, the same key that you use over there, the same key you have to change. Okay, it's just a key. Okay, whatever value. If you are having multiple keys over here, so this is one object, right? So you can have multiple keys over there, and you can change the value of that particular key. Okay, so that is how it will render. Okay, so this is one key. Okay, if I create another key called as yeah, what is there in chat? Yeah, if you want to delete the enter name, then how? If you want to delete the entered name, sorry, I didn't get question. What you want to delete, or when you want to delete? Entered name, entered name. Is it something you're asking? Fine. So let me just show you by doing the second example. So by adding one more key into this, like suppose the key is A for sake, and I'm just doing the value as Akshay, A for Akshay. And if I'm trying to access this key, initially the value of A will be Akshay. Okay. So same value, what I'll do is I'll just create another object. Let's change the name of, like here. If I do like this, if I put A over there using the state. Okay. Now see, state can contain multiple keys. If I'm not wrong. Okay, I'm not sure about it. Okay, let's change the name of Akshay. That is the initial value. Okay, now that is what. Okay, so the A is this, and now if I trying to change the value of A using the input box. Okay, now forget about that first thing. Now see what I'm going to type, like Pradyumna, right? So that is what is coming. So you can have any key over there. Okay, so that is not restriction. You can give it any name. Is it clear, Pradyumna? Yeah, now I'll come to your question, Suraj. Yeah, is it clear, Pradyumna? You can pass any key to that. Okay, fine. So anything will work. So there is nothing like text and name and anything. Like here as well. So where we passed the value to this particular thing, welcome, right? So here you can pass like A, B, C, D. Okay, so same A, B, C, D. You have to just call here. Here I removed everything. Okay, so here props dot ABCD you need to do, then only it will work. ABCD, right? So you can have anything. So that is not a restriction. Just maintain the same everywhere. That's the only condition. Okay, so this is what it is. Fine. So see, I changed this Kalyani and it has updated, not the current thing. See, that is the proof that the second component is not getting updated. Only the component where the change happened is getting updated. Okay, so like let me just show you again. Okay, so if I remove it and if I make it Akshay, and if I go and reload, see only this has changed, not the this PRAD, what is I type, this component has not changed. Okay, it means it is not reloading everything. Okay, that is what we used to do in earlier web applications. Okay, yeah. So actually, Suraj, I was not able to understand what exactly you are trying to ask me. See, if you want to delete, just remove it. Okay, so it is not a right thing actually, but we will do it later on. Okay, so tomorrow what we'll do is we'll try to add a button, we'll try to store the data somewhere, and we will play more. Okay, so some more concepts. So tomorrow we're going to learn hooks, and in that we will understand how we can deal more efficiently with the data. Okay, is that okay? Yep, perfect. So this is all for the day. So we covered a couple of things. I want you to practice and like local storage. Um, we will have the data will store in a kind of JSON file. We will not have the database in this 10 days because it will take a lot of time actually. So you need to set the REST APIs and you need to connect that database and it requires a lot of things. Okay. Using JSON, yeah. So normal JSON we will create and where we will do the stuff. Okay. So for storing, saving the data in a JSON. Okay. So there is one famous. So where those who are learning, you might have seen the tutorials out there. So there is one famous application which people build. I never tried it. I'm gonna do it for you. Okay. So that is to-do list. Okay. So that is what I have seen on a lot of LinkedIn posts. People are doing some by just watching somewhere on the online tutorials. And that is what we are going to build just for the example to learn this particular concept more better. Okay, and then we will have some amazing thing which you will not see anywhere. So which is just crafted in tech amplifiers. Okay, so there are so many things, but I'm going to give you only one glimpse because that is not possible to give everything in these 9 days. Okay, so stay tuned, keep learning, and I want you to practice everything. Okay, if you are not going to practice, it will not help you. Mark my words. Okay, you might have. It is not important how many things you know. It is more important that how many things you implemented. Okay, so just be there, and if you want to clear the coding rounds, so it is very important. If you want to, that's up to you. If you want to clear or not, so that's up to you. I can't do that stuff. Yes. Anything else? I'm here for next 2 minutes. Anything else you want to ask? So 2 minutes for just we are done with the session. Anything else apart from this thing? If you want to ask, I'll be happy to help you out. Revising Firebase at the end. We used to use in our advanced training, but right now it is not possible. Then we are going to use some small application, but that will be local one. That will not be cloud based. Sorry, Jesh. Yeah. Anything else? So we are going to create a kind of very good example. It will be kind of project that you can represent as a mini project. If you are in 3rd year, by the way, I was having some issue with Google authentication with using Firebase. Okay. Well, put the screenshot in the group. I guess Vimal already knows, he already deployed the code on Firebase. So he will help you out, or Rohan sir will definitely help you out. Okay. Yes. Any other questions? Can you give review of our final app? Can you give review of our final app? So it will not be app, it will be just yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. Okay, so I'll, if possible, I'll try to show you what it is going to look like. So it is just we are here to just clear out the concept, and there is a small mini project that we are going to create, and it will be basically let me just tell you what it is. It is going to be the tool which will send the emails. Okay, so that is what we are going to build. Okay, so it is not something UI related, something that you can show. So it is not. Last time we did what we did, movie rating app. So I don't repeat most of the time. So that is not what I don't want to cover. So that is that was the basic orientation of that. Here we are learning some advanced concept going to the backend, and that's why I want to give you some advanced project. So which will actually contain some good functionality. Yes. Anything else? Fine. So do your task, complete everything, and if you are looking for certificates, go and there will be a link, I guess. So just go and share what you learned. Okay. So that's the criteria. Okay. So this is it for the day. Keep learning and keep amplifying. Bye bye. Good night.